So you want to be the best in Apex Legends, or at least you want to improve your gameplay by picking the right character for you, and also knowing about the meta. Maybe you don't play every day, but you want to know who's doing well and who's on top, so you can spend some time with some of the better legends and skip some of the worst ones. Well, today we're going to be doing exactly what you need by ranking every legend from worst to best in Apex Legends. This will give you some great information on where they stand in the meta, what kind of things you might not know if you weren't paying attention every day to the game, but now that you know them after watching all of my video, you will now be able to play better and understand why certain legends are always dominating in your matches. Now, in this video, I like to go over every legend's abilities so that I give something to newer players. I also talk about where they rank and their competitive meta to the high-level players, and I also make sure to add some humor and also give you some clear instructional ways of how these abilities are used and how for you yourself to use them to get more kills and be more effective in your games because of understanding the intricacies of how they work. All right, let's get into it. Number 12. Revenant. Yo, Ray Day, how you put Revenant at number 12? Are you smoking something? Guys, I understand. He's a badass. He came in as the mercenary, the killer who was going to shut down Hammond Robotics. He was on a mission, but he came into Apex Legends and he forgot his shoes or something because he's a little slower off the jump than we all expected. Revenant galoshes in Season 4 a little bit under the radar for people, and that's what makes him interesting at number 12 because he does have a lot of potential. This is not a legend that can do nothing in these fights. And remember, these rankings are not whether you are good or bad. They're ranking in comparison to the legends. If anyways, you should look at these rankings as the legends in the bottom half of the rankings are the most requiring a buff to be competitive, and the legends at the top of the rankings are the ones who right now are already competitive and maybe even need nerfs. Now let's break down Revenant's abilities and see why he is in the number 12 position. Revenant's first ability is called Silence, and this is one of the interesting tacticals in the game. It has a ton of interactions and it allows you to throw a device that deals damage and disables enemies' abilities for 10 seconds. This device explodes on contact, it leaves a cloud for 6 seconds, and if you walk into it or get hit by it, it will deal 10 damage and disable tactical and ultimate abilities, meaning you cannot start using any of your abilities. However, any ability that has already started to be used or anything that is active, such as a Wraith portal, will actually be usable even if you are hit by that silence. So think of this as a grenade, right, that you have to time perfectly. The problem is the radius isn't that big, and so you will miss often if you are throwing this at somebody who is moving. It's not as easy as it sounds, and it will take some practice. So there are a lot of great potential things to do with this tactical. It just doesn't play out in most of your Revenant games, and it's a lot harder to do than some of the other tacticals, which are way easier to use and you can get more value out of them. Moving on to his passive called Stalker, this might be one of the best things about Revenant. Every character in Apex Legends actually crouch walks with silent feet, so you can crouch and move silently when you are moving around the map if you want to avoid enemies or track people down without them knowing. Revenant actually has a boost in his passive called Stalker, allowing you to crouch walk faster and climb walls higher. Revenant's crouch walking speed is the same as his walking speed, and it also allows him to climb walls 2 times as high as a normal legend. He can also climb shorter walls 25% faster because it takes longer for his climbing speed to decelerate. Now, this is the thing that you're going to feel the most when you play Revenant. He can get up on these buildings in Capital City that other legends just cannot, and running away is one of his specialties. Another big tip is crouch walking and ADS strafing is faster than normal strafing and makes you harder to hit because your hitbox is technically smaller. However, with many weapons, this will also increase your accuracy, so you may sometimes have increased accuracy at the same time as strafing speed. Last but not least, you can heal while crouching, which will actually make you faster than walking and healing. Just a cool thing about Revenant and why his passive is so unique and actually so characteristic of how he plays. Now his ultimate, the final thing, and part of the reason why he's in this position in the list is the Death Totem. Now the Death Totem is an interesting idea. You drop a totem that protects users from death, and instead of getting killed or downed, you will return to the totem when all of your usable health is gone. And that's right, just health. No shielding can be done damage to while you are in your Death Totem ultimate. So you go out, it has a radius, and you start fighting. You try to get as much damage in as possible. You try to make whatever play you need to, whether it's respawning a teammate, whether it's getting that down and thirsting that person so you don't lose RP. And then if somebody deals 100 health or any amount of health that you have currently when you entered into that Death Totem state, you will get sent back to your totem as long as it is within the 20 seconds allowable that you have to do this, or you are within the totem range still and your totem has not been destroyed. Whew. As you can see, that's just a lot going on. And for only 100 health and some positioning, but even restricted positioning, restricted timing, and also not a guarantee that you will get pulled back because someone could set up traps or kill your totem, this is just an underwhelming ultimate, and I've tried it and tried it and tried it. I've been grinding ranked with Revenant, and he is just a harder legend to win with, and unfortunately, that is why I put him at number 12. I wish I had more to say about this, but it's just unfortunately a little underwhelming. Respawn has done a few fixes to make sure that the totem doesn't bug out and that it doesn't get destroyed or put into rocks, which was consistently happening at the start of Revenant's appearance, but he's still got a long way to go, and I think is in most need of a buff. Ultimately, the death totem is just underwhelming in high level. In competitive, it's too risky and doesn't give you enough, and his tactical alongside an underwhelming ultimate just will not put him any higher in this list for me unless he gets some major changes. Let me know what you guys think about Revenant, the newest legend, in the comment section below, and if you agree with this placement. All right, I gotta move on. This is getting way too long. We spent a lot of time on the new legend, but let's speed it up for the next legends here. Number 11. Octane. Now, Octane has got some great memories. He's one of the first legends to ever come out. He is the first legend to ever come out outside of the base pool of legends in the game. And so everyone's got a little special place in their heart for this crazy man who is a drug addict. Seriously, he is such a drug addict. I really feel like Respawn should give him some help. Octane is the ultimate high-flying, stunt trick, action-packed legend that you want to play if you like being aggressive and getting into the mix of fights. And the reason he's 11 is because he's a little bit too straightforward with what he does, despite what he does being very fun and very good for most players in the game. His tactical ability is called Stem, and it allows you to move 30% faster for 6 seconds, and it costs health to use, meaning you're going to take health away from you in order to get this bonus. However, you cannot kill yourself while using this ability. It won't take you down to 0. While this is active, you'll be faster in gunfights, you'll be faster at running away from or chasing down enemies, and your passive Swift Men works completely together with this. While not taking damage, you will automatically restore health over time, 1 health every 2 seconds. So you use this stem, and then basically over the next 20 seconds, you will end up getting that 10 health you used for it back, and you could do it again. And this is great in gunfights as well. I mentioned this, but you can use this to strafe better and hip fire more, especially when you don't need to be so far away from an enemy. You can get up close, you could use a weapon like a Spitfire or an R99 and really put some damage on somebody when they don't expect you to be that fast and hard to hit. Now, his ultimate is called Launchpad. It has 200 health, and you can destroy it, and you could also have 4 launch pads active on the map at once. When you jump with Launchpad, it allows you to jump super high and in an arc and get to higher places that you and your team would not have been able to do beforehand. There's also a trick. If you want to get even higher, make sure to time your jump or your slide jump and jump the second that you hit the launch pad. If you do so, you will gain extra air and speed, and you'll be able to reach even higher heights than you thought. Now, you can bounce things like grenades off of this as well if you want to have a crazy trick shot going on, but you can also bounce teammates who have been downed, so they can get to a safe spot, allow Octane to use his stem, get back, revive them, and get you guys in the fight. Octane's an amazing legend, but unfortunately, this is all very straightforward. There are other legends that have aggressiveness, but they bring more to a team, and that's some of the legends that have really stepped up in Season 4 that we're going to be spending more time talking about. Ultimately, if you want to have fun and you want to go at your enemies head on like a charge, Octane is the legend for you, and you will enjoy playing him, just maybe not at the ultimate competitive high levels of ranked or in pro play. Number 10. Caustic. Now, this was a hard one. Caustic has been living in the number 5, 6, 7 range for me for most of these lists, but I put him to number 10 for a couple of reasons. One, I think there are other legends that have gotten buffs that I've gotten more respect for over the course of Season 4 and Season 3 after making that video, and I also think that Caustic just will never be better than some of his counterparts in the same category as him unless he gets a major buff or change to his kit. Alexander Maxwell Knox was born to Arthur Rutherford Knox and Katerina Tissakex Knox on February 25th, 2685. Can you believe that that's actually his backstory? What are these names? I'm sorry, it's funny. It's a funny name. It's just, it is. My name's funny. Your name is funny too. Okay, don't be offended. Now, Knox's gas traps allow you to throw gas canisters inside or outside of a room in the middle of a fight, and when they are activated by an enemy coming near them, or you or someone else shooting them in the middle of the gas trap, then they will start to do damage. 4 damage a second, increased by 1 every hit to a maximum of 10. So if you stay in that bad boy for about 6 more seconds, you're going to get 10 damage a second, and that's for every single trap. So you could be taking a lot of damage very quickly. This is one of his earlier buffs, I believe towards Season 2 of Apex Legends, that allowed him to be a lot more lethal with his gas. The problem is he's got Nox Vision as a passive, allowing him to be immune to the effects of Nox gas and also see enemies from inside the Nox gas, and his ultimate highlighted in green, similar to a threat scope. However, your teammates do not get this. Let me move to his ultimate, and then we'll talk about why that's such a big problem. His Nox gas grenade is his ult, and it blankets a large area in Nox, and it is a grenade. Pretty self-explanatory there. This works exactly the same as far as damage, as far as his threat vision, his Nox vision, as his gas canisters. However, this allows you to throw it and put it into little places like through the corner of a door or maybe through a window and push a team who is defending in there out. Some of the best ways to use this is to try to force a team out of a building, but make sure there isn't a Watson in there as well, because their interception pylon will destroy it, just like Revenant's tactical. One of the best ways to think about this is that I want someone out of that area, or I want to lock them in and I know they cannot move, and therefore I want to punish them for trying to bunker down. It's also one of the best ways to safely revive a teammate, because you can throw it on yourself, blanket the entire area in gas, which most enemies can't see you through unless they have a digital threat, and will not want to chase or push you in because they don't want to take that damage, and then you will be able to revive your teammate safely and hopefully reposition before the gas runs out. This is one of my favorite things about playing Caustic, just the fact that you could pop your own gas canisters and put them in these areas where people do not want to push. Nobody wants to go into that Nox gas. It is seriously deadly and almost a death threat, because you know you're getting seen and you know that damage, and the blurry vision is just really messing you up. You cannot fight in it, and ultimately that is why Caustic cannot be any higher in this list for me. Until his teammates find a way to viably fight and use his gas as something that can be a total benefit to them and their squad versus a kind of pro and a con, he will not make it higher in this list, and he also won't make it into competitive or pro play. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments section below. Maybe he should just, drop a gas mask every 5 seconds, and, teammates can then see through the gas and move through it freely. I don't know. Number 9. Bangalore. Now, Bangalore probably is the #1 biggest jump from high to low in this entire list, and that is a very strange thing for me to think about. I think I had her at number 4 or maybe 5 in last season's list, and now she's number 9. Like, what the heck happened? Now, the first reason is that other legends have increased in value and gotten some major buffs in season 4. The second reason is that Bangalore has also been left out of the party. I haven't seen many teams, or any teams really, running a Bangalore at a high level in pro play, in scrims, and definitely not in the tournaments that we've casted for Apex in ALGS. And so maybe a buff is in need. Let's talk about her abilities and see if you think so as well. Her first ability is called Smoke Launcher, her tactical, and this fires a high velocity smoke canister that explodes into a smoke wall on impact. You have 2 charges of this, and you can use them twice in a row. You can also fire these canisters while shooting or while healing, giving yourself a little bit of cover in those mainly hectic situations. Whether you're running away or whether you're combining this smoke with the digital threat onto an enemy team, this is one of the most effective ways to either engage or disengage from a fight. This smoke also pairs nicely with a Bloodhound. Although Bangalore cannot see in her smoke like a Caustic unless she has that digital threat, Bloodhound can see through all of it, especially in his ultimate Beast of the Hunt, which should net both legends some easy kills if they use it in tandem. Now, Bangalore's passive is called Double Time, which means that you will move at 30% speed when people are shooting at you. That doesn't mean that they have to hit you. It means that if they hit you or they shoot near you, or even if you're in a Gibraltar's dome and they shoot at you, your passive will actually activate, and it will allow you to move 30% faster for 2 seconds at a time. And this will continue to reactivate as long as you are in the midst of a fight. Now, you combine that passive with her smoke grenade, and she is easy like Sunday morning out of that fight, and you have no idea where she is. Bangalore's ultimate is called Rolling Thunder, and it calls in an artillery strike that slowly creeps across the landscape. Now, this missile lands in a 6x6 square. Each explosion will do 40 damage, and it will slow enemies. And it will also give them that fuzzy kind of like, I am in the middle of a fight and I've been shocked feeling that you can sometimes get on your monitor. The problem is most people are just good enough or not in a horrible enough position to ever really get hit by this. And so what it actually does is force teams to delay in pushing you or to move in a different rotation than they were initially planning to do. And although this ultimate is great and she's a fun individual legend that I think beginners would really like to play, I just don't think she ranks up as high anymore in that high, mid-level, and higher level gameplay. Listen, I'm not a fan of buffing every legend just because they're different than the meta. I like that Octane and Bangalore are different, and you guys may agree with me as well. They're aggressive, they're fast-paced, they can be faster than you, and that's got to count for something in a battle royale, especially on rotations. But they don't play the way the current meta is, and that's why they're ranked lower in this list. Maybe in season 5, things will change. Number 8. Mirage. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Mirage has made it into a higher position than last or second to last on this list. Congratulations, Mirage, and all you Mirage fans out there. You know, I had been disrespecting Mirage a lot in these lists, putting him at last, second to last, and I honestly believe that he is a middle of the pack legend and has a lot to offer to a team in several different ways than you might think. Mirage is all about really a decoy and creating these illusions that allow you and your team to reposition or to catch an enemy off guard by being distracted. And in a game with so many distractions, it's kind of easy to see how Mirage can actually benefit from that chaos. Mirage's tactical is called Psych Out, and it sends out a holographic decoy to confuse the enemy wherever the real Mirage has targeted. And you could use this no matter where you are. You could use it while you're walking, running, crouching. You can't use it while you're climbing, although that would be really cool, but you could use it even while you're dropping out of the plane at the start of the game to send an extra decoy to throw people off about where you'll be looting and where you actually are looting. Now, the best part about it is when the decoy takes damage or someone shoots it, an icon will appear indicating where the enemy that damaged it is. This icon appears for Mirage's whole squad and also indicates the actual distance, like 20 meters, 30 meters. And that's extremely valuable tactical information, especially in 1v1s or in places where people think they've got you cornered. You can throw your decoy out and then all of a sudden they shoot it, you see where they are, they realize it's a decoy, and you've got that time while they're realizing it, trying to see if you're still there, have you run another place to make your move. Mirage's passive is called Encore, and it allows him to automatically drop a decoy and cloak for 5 seconds when he gets knocked. Now, the only reason I don't like this passive is because I can only use it when I get killed. So, you know, to me, that's like it's a little weak. You know, what are you trying to say, Respawn? You trying to say I'm gonna die? I mean, come on, you know, I don't know. Shoot, maybe I died once, you know, some lucky. You know, obviously this buys you time for your teammates to come and help you out, and if you have teammates alive or they haven't left the game already, if they've been down, then you do have a chance at using this and it coming in handy. Oftentimes though, it's just a little bit more of a delay of the inevitable, which is somebody comes and thirsts you anyway. His ultimate Vanishing Act is where a lot of people have said Mirage could get a buff. When activated, Mirage turns invisible for 5 seconds and creates a ring of 6 stationary decoys around where he activated it. Now, the buff is looking at trying to change those decoys from stationary into doing some activity, or maybe looking like they're all real, really confusing an enemy as to where the real Mirage has gone. You can sneak up onto enemies who see your teammates but don't see you, activating it preemptively and then going in for a huge shot with something like a Peacekeeper or an R99 that has a ton of burst and will put them on the back end and also surprise them. Now, the surprise will work better with gunfire and other things happening for your enemies not to be fully hearing you and your footsteps, or to be paying attention to that slightly blurred air particle situation that looks like a man coming at them with a Peacekeeper nearby. So hopefully use this under the guise of your other teammate pushing, or maybe just a lot of chaos, maybe 3 teams fighting in the middle of a really busy area. And I also don't think you should activate this as you are exactly in trouble. Try to use it while you are about to be in trouble, because that does take a little bit of an activation time, and sometimes if you activate it too late, you will go down. Mirage ultimately doesn't rank into the top 3, 4, or 5 legends because he just doesn't provide that much in terms of pro play and high level competitive, but I do believe Mirage is way better than you think, and you should give him a try in season 4. I've got a lot more respect for this legend, and a few things actually tilt in his favor, giving him a pretty decent hitbox that's not too big, not too small, and making sure he doesn't use that low profile passive that gives you extra 5% damage when you're fighting against him. He's just a normal guy, and that's kind of why we all love him. Number 7. Lifeline. Now, Lifeline is a really good legend, and part of the reason is she feels like she should be a starter character like a Ryu or a Ken when you play Street Fighter, but like Ryu and Ken, sometimes they end up in like the grand finals of EVO, and that is kind of the thing with Lifeline. She is a basic character who brings a healing drone. She brings the ability to heal faster, to revive teammates a little easier with a shield, and a care package that brings you items. That's about it. But she still has this high level ability because she's a small hitbox, she's wormy, and these things are just standard base attributes that are really, really good to have as a legend. Now, Lifeline's kind of interesting because she dipped a little bit in season 3, but I think in season 4 is making a little bit of a rise. The shift of the amount of gold armors that were out in season 3 and now in season 4 has really changed, I think, the current conversation around Lifeline's value from her care package. Who cares about a purple armor when I'm gonna kill a guy and then I'm gonna get a gold armor and we're all gonna gonna have golds. I don't care what your care package brings to me, Lifeline. I mean, a purple, who cares about that? But now she's back in the rhythm, and it's all because of what she brings to the team. Now, she does have that low profile passive, meaning she will take 5% more damage because her hitbox is a lot smaller than most of the other legends, but it doesn't mean that she can't provide some healing when she does take that damage a little bit more than you. Her DOC heal drone, her drone of compassion heal drone, allows you to call a drone and automatically heal nearby players over time. This does apply to enemies as well, very much like Revenant's old death totem can apply and be used by enemies also. These things are kind of standard common traits in Apex Legends. It heals 7.5 health per second and lasts 20 seconds for a potential 150 health restored per target. And also it will heal all players within 3 meters. You can push this drone by walking into it, and it will go over a cliff if it falls very, very slowly. It can be destroyed by the ring, which was not true in Season 1 and has made it a lot less viable as far as being used in those tricky situations where you're trying to heal up outside of the ring. As you push in, it will pretty much die instantly. But I think in Season 4, she's going to get a lot of love for her passive specifically, as well as her care package. The revive knockdown teammates faster while being protected by a shield that has a lot of health to it is a pretty nice aspect of the passive that really makes a difference in getting someone up even while you're under fire. And if you add a gold backpack to her, she's going to get them up safely while also giving them so much health and shielding back that they are going to be back in the fight in no time. Her healing items are also used 25% faster for her individually, which is half of a gold shield, which, as you can imagine, is pretty dang strong. Her care package works as it always had, comes with 3 item slots, each containing one of the following. Slot 1 will be a level 3 body shield, helmet, or knockdown shield. Slot 2 will be shield cells, shield batteries, syringes, medkits, and phoenix kits. And slot 3 will be some type of weapon attachment, a level 3 attachment, a 4 to 10 times digital sniper threat, or a 1-time digital threat. Ultimately, Lifeline deserves her role as a Ryu of Apex Legends, a very good legend that can sometimes make it into the grand finals, but you can also find some other ones that are kind of currently meta and use them more in any given time period. But that's why she ranks number 7 on my list. Number 6. Bloodhound. Did I do the voice right? Now, Bloodhound has gotten a lot of successive buffs in Apex Legends Season 4, and that's why gets to the number 6 position in this list. There are so many other legends, though, that have also received buffs and changes in a strong way that is as far as I can put Bloodhound. However, Bloodhound is really, really good right now and is in the conversation for high-level pro play. I did a video talking about why Bloodhound is thought of as this aggressive legend, and it's because when you use them, they're tracking people, they're moving faster in their ultimate, and they're ultimately trying to get into the fight. But the reason I think Bloodhound is now being considered for much higher level play is because Eye of the Allfather has gotten a significant change. Bloodhound's tactical allows you to see in a 125-degree cone in front of you. All enemies, traps, and loot ticks are highlighted and tracked to be seen by not just you and your allies. Recently, this was buffed from not only the current distance, but now times 3 the distance so that it travels 3 times farther and can scan and reveal 3 times the amount of area. It is pretty ridiculous. It also lasts now from 2 seconds to 3 seconds and has an increased activation time of 0.4 to 0.8 seconds and is intended to be used when you go into a town, not in the middle of a fight and try to use it to quickly scan someone. It's to set your teammates up and give them an information, a lay of the land, so to speak, as to what we're all getting into. Ultimately, this is very, very valuable, and it will tell you the amount of hostiles in a given area and whether to really proceed with caution or whether to go full throttle, or whether that rat who's been hiding in the basement is finally discovered and you guys can push and get another squad out of this rank game. It will also scan really valuable things like perimeter security nodes, Nox gas traps, interception pylons from Watson, launch pads, and even heal drones from Lifeline. This works perfectly well with the passive of Bloodhound, which is Tracker, which is really great in the middle of just running around with your team. Actions performed by enemies will leave markers the Bloodhound can see, and you can follow these clues and see how long ago they occurred because they will vanish after 90 seconds. Bloodhound can also ping these clues for teammates, either as someone's been here or a recent battle here. And while you follow those trails of clues, you'll be able to really see ravens manifest around the enemy's tracks. I mean, you can track everything about the enemies you're following. You can see whether they're in a healthy relationship at home, whether they need to go to the bathroom, I mean, what they ate for breakfast. You could pretty much see anything that they did in the last 90 seconds. And if you need more help trying to find enemies, which you definitely don't, otherwise you suck, you can transform into the Ultimate Hunter, Beast of the Hunt, which enhances your senses, allowing you to see cold tracks and move faster, and your knockdowns, if you do get one, extend the duration by 5 seconds. Now, this will increase your speed by 30%, your vision will turn black and white, and essentially, you will see enemies highlighted in red like your own personal digital threat. It lasts 35 seconds at base, but it essentially has an unending timer if you keep getting knockdowns. In a high-level meta where people are trying to bunker down, control space, and understand what's happening in a map to make the best decisions, Bloodhound does the third thing probably better than almost any other legend in the game, which is give intel and give information as to why things and what is happening around the area that they're fighting. And especially as you're approaching a town, it becomes one of the most valuable abilities and easiest to use and get value from in the entire game. That is why Bloodhound sits at number 6 and is definitely in the conversation for high-level play. Number 5. Crypto. Now, Crypto is one of the legends that I've been very excited about in Season 4, and if you haven't played him or think he's not worth playing, you probably are dramatically underrating him as a legend. Crypto brings intel with his surveillance drone, which allows you to fly up to 200 meters away and do things like grab enemies' banners, see what's happening in a fight, and of course use your ultimate like the EMP to set yourself up and your team for success when you finally engage. So we mentioned you can drive this thing up to 200 yards away, and so you can see a lot, but if you want your teammates to see it and take advantage of your passive Neuralink, which allows Crypto and his teammates to see what the surveillance drone detects up to a 30-meter radius, you got to put it a little closer, and that becomes a bit of a problem. People are going to try to destroy this drone, and recently it has been given a buff to have more health, which is a good thing, but it doesn't mean that it can survive a wingman shot, so you do have to be careful about where you place it. But if you do place it and you get into an engagement right away, most of the time people will have to focus on you and not the drone, and therefore you can get that vision while also fighting someone and knowing so much about what they're going to do. If you could ever pull this off, you will see exactly how strong Crypto is, because it becomes comical how well you can see them and what you know about their actions. It's literally like a highlighted person behind a rock, behind a wall, trying to revive someone, and you push without any care. It is one of the best feelings in the game, and if you could do that while then engaging or having your teammates engage, you could really set up for a fight that's easy to win. In Season 4, Crypto's drone EMP, his ultimate, has gotten even better, allowing you to deal 50 damage, slow players, and disable traps like Watson's interception pylon or Octane's launch pad immediately. The great thing is that it doesn't affect his teammates, and it doesn't even affect his teammates' Gibraltar shield, so you can still use all of your beneficial aspects as a team and then just screw the enemy up with no shield. They no longer can drop their body shields, which will allow it to be ineffective. It will damage body shields on the ground as well. They've made a lot of quality of life changes so that this really does do damage and hit you where it hurts. The only person it will affect if he is in the radius is Crypto, so be careful you have your Crypto out of that EMP, otherwise he'll take the charge too. Since we're so late into this video and the top 4 are coming up, I want to just mention that I think Crypto is interchangeable with some of these other legends, and I think he could be considered in a top 3 squad. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and I can't wait to see what pros do with all of these new changes in Season 4. Number 4. Watson. Now, Watson is out of the top 3, and for me, Watson is a great legend that has been dominant since her entrance into Apex Legends in Season 2. Her perimeter security tactical connects nodes to create electrified fences that damage and slow enemies. You can have a maximum of 12, and if you have your ultimate, your interception pylon out, it won't only charge your shields and all of your teammates' shields, but it will allow you to activate your perimeter security nodes much faster. It's almost like when you get into a room that you want to bunker down, you pop down your ultimate, and then your perimeter security nodes will recharge at such a higher rate that you'll be able to really fully lock down that building, make sure no one can come in. Watson's passive Spark of Genius allows her to completely charge her ultimate with the use of 1 ultimate accelerant, which is why you always want to ping them when she's on your team, and you always want to carry at least 1 or 2 if you're playing Watson. Now, Watson's interception pylon, her ultimate, repairs damaged shields as long as it stands, and it has 150 health. It recharges around 2 shields per second and affects your entire team. So one of the best reasons for her to be on your squad is to bunker down a building, make sure no one can get in, and be able to poke from outside without having to use resources like shield batteries or shield cells, because you can slowly but surely regenerate them without using any of those. The big thing about it too is it means that ordinances cannot be shot into your room, so no one can get you out unless they literally walk in, and if they do, they're probably going to walk into a fence. See the conundrum there. Ultimately, she shuts down a lot of counterplay against her, and this is why she's been one of the most dominant legends and featured legends in all of Apex Legends since her release, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. She doesn't need a nerf per se, but I think she's great, and I'd like to see some of these other legends continue to be buffed and in the conversation. But will she ever get out of a top 3 kind of position in pro play if she doesn't get a nerf? I'm going to leave that one to you guys in the comment section. I'm not sure. All right, Watson's a great legend and obviously a solid pick no matter whether you're competitive, beginner, or a middle level player. That's why she ranks number 4 in this list. Now moving on to number 3, Wraith. Yeah, Wraith is number 3. That means top 2 is kind of interesting, isn't it? And Wraith, I think, deserves to be number 3 for the first time ever, really. As far as best legends, she's always and will always be in the conversation. Whenever you give a legend the ability like Into the Void, which is Wraith's tactical, allowing you to reposition quickly through the safety of void space, avoiding all damage, then you will see a legend that is top tier. But it's not just that makes Wraith so good. Her passive, Voices from the Void, allows you to get information whenever a player is looking at your character model in the map. That's right, someone's got a sniper down 300 meters away and I don't know about it, my passive is going to tell me and I can get out of the way. But one of her most impactful abilities, as you will see in gameplay and you will see in pro play, is Dimensional Rift. Dimensional Rift allows you to link 2 locations with portals for 60 seconds, allowing anyone to use them, even enemies. But the benefit of that is you can constantly rotate in from bad situations to good situations with the Wraith using her immunity to get to that spot and then setting you guys up in a safe spot at the end of the journey. It's such a powerful option because in Apex Legends, sometimes you just have to fight your way to a location, and Wraith doesn't necessarily have to do that. She can get there by being invulnerable, being unattackable, and also creating a portal that now brings both of her teammates with her now that she's in a safe spot again. Now, a big nerf that happened in Season 4 is that you no longer can combine the amount of speed you gain from Into the Void and Dimensional Rift, meaning that she cannot move faster by using both at the same time. But she still will move faster because they each grant her a 25% speed bonus. However, the benefit really is that she's invulnerable while setting up her portal through a dangerous position. So that still applies. She's pretty much the exact same legend as always. Her tactical also got a nerf and allowed it to be pushed from 25 seconds as a cooldown to 35 seconds, a 10-second increase, but ultimately you should only be using it once per fight anyways. This is more of a quality of life change and doesn't really impact whether you can survive or not as a Wraith. Wraith will always be one of the best legends in Apex Legends, so you could expect her to be featured very high in this list every single time I make this video. But let me know what you guys think about the nerfs. Did they set her back even farther than I put her in this list, or do you agree with the placement? It's time for number 2. Oh, before we get to number 2, I just want to let you all know that right at that moment, after recording 31 minutes of audio for me, I literally had my computer go black and I had Audacity freeze. And I basically had to end the task and hope that it was there. All this effort in recording, hours of recording and takes, and it was. So yeah, I'll go Audacity. All right, number 2. Gibraltar. Well, things have changed quite a lot here, haven't they, Rain Day? Oh yeah, Gibraltar in Season 3 actually ranked number 6 in my list like I had mentioned, but he got a bunch of buffs at the beginning of that season that took a little bit of time to have an impact. He's able, in his Dome of Protection, which is a 15-second dome, allow him and his teammates to heal faster inside of it. But at the start of Season 4, he also got another change, allowing him to revive teammates 20% faster within his dome as well, making it even stronger. And of course, because in Season 3, they also allowed him to throw his shield farther as well as his ultimate much farther, he became a much more versatile legend, and it only was a matter of time before people started realizing it. Now they have, and you will see Gibraltar's in high-level games almost all the time because of the utility and the safety that he brings, especially in these high-level games. The only person that has a trump card to be able to say, I'm stopping right now and ending this fight and getting back to full health and then going into the fight again, is pretty much Wattson and Gibraltar, because they have the ability to kind of bunker down, make sure you cannot throw anything at them that will get to them, and essentially get back to full before they're ready to move. But Gibraltar, he just brings this extra level of toughness, and in 1v1s, he's one of the most unstoppable legends in the game. And part of that reason is, one, his Fortified passive, which gives him 15% less damage taken from every attack onto him, and also immunity to slows from weapon fire, which happens to every other legend in the game. But two, his gun shield, which is a deployable gun shield he can deploy while aiming down sights. Now, this will force him to be a little bit less nimble on most weapons, but it means it will absorb 50 extra damage in a fight that you'll have to get through, and it is very obnoxious. One of the best things about this too is, say you do 49 damage with an RE45 and you switch to your Kraber to end him. That 1 damage from the gun shield is going to absorb all 152 damage from the Kraber and essentially nullify 151 damage from just 1 health. It is an extremely strong mechanic, and it's one of the reasons why great Gibraltars players can utilize it to outplay their opponents so well. Gibraltar has admittedly become very strong, and if he got nerfed, I don't think anyone else would get mad. Recently, he was nerfed with the gun shield going from 75 to 50, and we'll see if that continues in Season 4 and into Season 5. But ultimately, he stands at the top of the list, and only one other legend is unequivocally better than them all. But Gibraltar, he's a great one to pick up. You'll see him in high level, you can get used to him in low level, and he's great in any match that you pick, providing so much to the team and great in 1v1 scenarios. But now, it's time to move on to the #1 legend in all of Apex Legends, and I don't think it's even close. Pathfinder. There are very few things that you look at in Apex Legends and say, there's no other legend that would have been able to survive there. There's no other legend that would have been able to win that fight or get away from that team or make that play. Pathfinder is one of the legends you continuously look at, whether you play him or you see him played at the highest level, and say, there is no other legend that could have done that. This combination makes Pathfinder the best by himself, but then he also has a zip line that allows utility for his entire team and a secondary piece of mobility for him as well to either outmaneuver opponents or to chase them down, and this is really what puts him over the edge. And one of the best things about Pathfinder is his grappling hook. His tactical ability allows him to get high ground, low ground, far ground, close ground, whatever ground you want to get to, he can get there with this ability. Now, this is a very hard ability to balance because basic level players will not utilize it very well at all, but the best players will utilize it in such a way that it will win them the fight without having to shoot, and that is what makes Pathfinder so good. Pathfinder can also use his grapple to pull an enemy towards him or himself towards an enemy. It will pretty much happen at the same time, which is a pretty cool dynamic of the hook. Pathfinder's passive, which is so good in high level play, is called Insider Knowledge. Now, there are 12 survey beacons available on the map in any given Apex Legends map in the circle, and they will determine where the circle location will be after the currently marked circle if Pathfinder is able to actually scan it. It requires him to get up to a high ground location usually and spend about 3 to 4 seconds while being vulnerable. But if you have somebody like a Gibraltar on your team, he can dome you up, make sure you get that. Oh god, that got a little sexual. He can put his dome over you to make sure that you can't get shot, and then you guys get that information and can rotate earlier, so you don't have to get caught in these chokes or in these bad positions while other teams are trying to rotate when they don't have information about the circle. Now, for somebody like you who doesn't play very often, you may not know what that second circle means, but for a pro player who plays every single day, they've memorized a lot of these circles. So if they get that second circle information, they can kind of see where the third circle might be and make a very strong prediction that a lot of times is very accurate about where they should end in the final circle. And so they will place themselves there and try to rotate very quickly. If you're without that information in a high level game, you've either got to follow a Pathfinder team or you're going to be rotating late, almost guaranteed. And the thing that really puts him over the edge is his zip line, allowing him and his teammates to reposition to high and hard to reach places, and allowing him also to have a secondary mobility option in case his grapple is on cooldown in tough spots. He's got individual mobility, he's got team-wide mobility, he's got team-wide intel that is probably the most important in the game, and he's also got a funky hitbox, which is why he has the low profile, taking 5% extra damage passive as well, alongside his Insider Knowledge passive for the survey beacons. Whew, now that's a lot, but you are prepared and know exactly what you're getting into in Apex Legends and where each legend stands amongst one another. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment down below your own list or any list that you might have disagreed with as far as my positioning, and of course, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more updates on Apex Legends and other games here at Rainy Day Gaming. Thanks so much, never give up, never stop gaming, and I'll see you all next time. Oh, and if you'd like to, please follow my Instagram. It's @Rainy Day Gaming. I'm trying to get up to 1,000 followers. You guys could help me out a lot. Thank you.